Hi, my name is Vila. I'm continuing the church. The title of my message is Overcoming Insecurity. And the verses I'll be using is Ephesians 2:10, Philippians 4:15, and Romans 12:2. Hi, my name is Abigail Vila. I recently turned 13 years old, and let me tell you, turning 13, life is hard. Just kidding. But this past year, I've learned a lot about myself. And one of those things is that I love to play basketball. Now, basketball is my favorite sport. But there's just one thing about it. The insecurities. I mean, believe me, I love myself enough. But every time I have a basketball game or practice, I always look at the other girls and think, okay, she's taller, she's faster, she's stronger, and she's a really good shooter. Just knowing they have something cool and good to use in a game scares me. Now, that's insecurity. Well, what is an insecurity? Insecurity is the lack of confidence on yourself. See, that not just only happens in sports, but it can happen anywhere, like social media, school, and even your own friends and family.
Yeah.
Now, we have so many voices telling us who we are and what we're supposed to be. But one thing that I'm learning about insecurity is that we can overcome them.
That's right.
Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He has planned for us long ago." See, God has called us to do greater things than to struggle through insecurity and feeling unworthy.
Yeah.
Now, that brings me to my first point. To overcome our insecurities, we need to know who we are. Like I mentioned before, in Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus." So this means we are His creation.
Yeah.
And Philippians 4:13 says, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." This tells me that my confidence should not just be in myself, but in Him. I might not be as tall, and I might not be the best shooter, but if I believe that I can do all things through Christ, then this tells me it is not impossible to become that masterpiece, and that I might be putting my confidence in the wrong person.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my second point. Do not compare yourself to others. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." There's been times when I feel like quitting in the middle of a game because of the comparison. Fixing my eyes on my teammates has robbed me from the joy and excitement in the game. For example, have you ever heard of the phrase, "The grass always looks greener on the other side"? But the thing with this is that I don't know what my teammates' insecurities are, and I don't know what hard work they've put in to be where they are. Now, that brings me to my third and final point. Be who you were created to be. As I mentioned in Ephesians 2:10, it says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things He has planned for us long ago." The definition of a masterpiece is a person's greatest piece of work. We are God's masterpiece. You and I have been created by God in a unique way to live out His will.
Yeah.
We don't need to be or act like anyone else. And Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Right.
Then you'll be able to test and approve God's will is His good, pleasing, and perfect will." A lot of our insecurities are in our mind. So what we need to do is ask God to renew our mind, so that at the end, we can become His masterpiece. Now, instead of looking at what my teammates might have, and then being insecure, I can look and see what God has for me, and what God has planned for me.
Yeah.
So, I can do that by saying, she may be tall, but I am fast. She may be a really good shooter, but I can rebound. And she may be stronger than me, but I have God's strength with me. Now, instead of trying to become like someone else, strive to become that masterpiece each day. As if you're doing everything, you are doing it for God. Thank you.